Hello, hello, my scrapbooking friends. I'm so excited to be coming to you with another 52 scrapbooking project recipe collaboration with my amazing, talented good friend, Kimberly Sparks. She is so fun. And if you ever have a chance to meet her in person, definitely take advantage of that opportunity because she's awesome. Anyways, we are here with what month are we in? September. It's all running together at this point, which means we just have this month and then 3 more months left in our recipes. And definitely, after we asked last week, the consensus was we definitely need to come up with something to do next year to continue this collaboration. And I am 100% agree and on board with that. So let's take a look at our sketch this month. We are using project recipe number 37. This layout, I've been pretty good about sticking pretty close to the design of the sketch, and I'm going to give you a heads up that this one we are definitely going to be switching it up and changing it up, mainly because to make it work with my pictures. So the example is using the Wonderful Day collection, and we've got 2 4x6 vertical photos, 2 4x4, and then 3 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 photos on this layout. They've got a couple of border strips on either side. This one on the left hand page is 2.5 inches, and the one on the right hand page is 4 inches. And this is a great sketch because it does have a lot of photos. You've got 7 photos on this layout. And so the pictures that I'm going to be scrapbooking, I had a lot of photos. And so this was a great sketch for that. The problem is that my pictures were horizontal. I had lots of horizontal photos and not vertical or even square photos. And they're actually pictures of my daughter, which they're more dance pictures. I've done quite a few dance photos, so I've got more dance pictures. These ones were actually from a couple years ago, from 2016, and it was her Sadie Hawkins dance, and it was super fun group. I got to take the pictures for them, and it was like a cowboy theme or Western theme. And so the kids in her group, the girls, it was a girls' choice dance. The girls in her group decided to all wear matching black dresses, and they wanted the guys to wear black shirts and like a black shirt, and then each couple had a color that they wore for their cowboy hats. And so my daughter, who loves the color pink, she was pink. They had a couple in purple, one in white, one in red, one in green, and one in blue. And then instead of like the flower corsages or bouquets, they did bandanas in their color. So she has her pink bandana like tied around her wrist, and he's got it around his neck. And then actually in one of these pictures, their hats actually came with sunglasses as well. And so the couples were wearing their sunglasses in one of the photos. So fun group of girls, and they of course wore their cowboy boots. Fun group of girls, fun group of guys. Had a good time taking their pictures. It was super cute. So these are the pictures I'm going to be scrapbooking, but I definitely, because it was a big group, a lot of my pictures are horizontal and not vertical. And so we are definitely going to switch this layout up a bit to make it work for my pictures. As far as collections, I have done some cutting and figuring out steps. I'm going to be using the Grateful Harvest collection. I thought this would be really great just because these pictures were taken in the fall. And so there are fall leaves and things like that in the background. In fact, these, I actually have it on my journaling. It was November 18th was the day of the dance. So we definitely have the fall leaves and fall colors in the background. And so that's why I thought using the Grateful Harvest collection was going to be perfect for this layout. Now I have pulled 2 sheets of caramel cardstock to use as my base. Are you guys impressed? It's not white. I don't always use bright white cardstock. Sometimes I do use colored cardstock. So be impressed with me for a minute. And then I have pulled out some paper. Now in the sketch, they have your strips kind of on either side. They're a little bit wider than this. And then you've got two pieces that were in the center here of the layout. And then they had, I know these are going the wrong direction, but they had the pictures like this. Whoops. And then they had some square photos like down this side of the layout, which is super cute. It's not a bad layout. It just didn't work with my pictures. And so what I decided to do is to basically rotate elements of the design. So basically going like this, so that I had more, had the horizontal photos. And then taking those strips off the end and running them across the bottom and top of the layout instead of the left and the right side. And so I did changed what I like my cutting dimensions. And so I have, this is a 1.5 inch strip, and this strip across the top is 1 inch, which in the sketch, they had the left side narrower than the right side. The right side was 4 inches. The left side was, in the actual sketch, I think it was 2.5 inches. So I did do these a little bit. I did the same idea as far as having a wider strip on one side and a narrower on the other. I just did the wider strip on the bottom and then a narrower strip on the top. Now on theirs, because they did do the wider strip on the right hand page, they had these two pieces different sizes. So because they are piece J and H, and so they had it looks like J and H. Yeah, it is J and H. So they have 9 inches, and one's 7.5, and one's, where's piece I? Oh, okay. Goodness. Okay, so they have a 3-inch strip, and then you had, oh my goodness, like what did they do? All right, it looks like they have a couple of different strips here. They have a 3-inch strip here, and then they have a 4.5-inch strip. And then on this side, because there is like a little line between these, it's 2 different pattern papers. And then on this side, they have piece H, which is a 7.5-inch strip. So they are, the total is the same. It's 7.5 and 7.5, but the left-hand page has 2 pieces that are different patterns, and then the right hand has 1 piece. And then they pulled the patterns from the left hand, that little brown stripe, into some, well, it's not that stripe, it's a different piece. It's what they used for the photo mats, into some embellishments on these 2 strips here. I'm totally going to be eliminating these and that. And I just took 1 sheet and did a 6-inch and 6-inch, and it was 9 inches in height. So it's 6 inches wide, 9 inches in height, and put it in the center here. So I didn't do the 2 different pieces. So you could definitely add a second piece there. I just, because there's so many photos, this is definitely a busy layout, and I don't know that I need, to add more pattern to the layout. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I needed to add additional, yeah, it would just get too much for me. I just think it would be too much. So I am going to, and then they had the 3 square photos, and like I said, I had a lot of vertical photos, and so I'm actually putting 2 3x4s and a 3x3 in between over here, and then I'm repeating that on this side with 2 3x4s, and then the 3x3 in between is actually how I have my journaling. And then I matted all of these photos on hot fudge cardstock. Okay, so here is basically what my layout is going to look like. At least that foundation, and all I have left is embellishing. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video for me and go ahead and glue everything down, and then I will start the video again and we will get to embellishing. All right, it doesn't look like much has changed, but basically I've glued everything down. So now everything's glued down and we're ready to embellish. Now I have to say I'm not going to want to add a lot of embellishments to this layout because it already is pretty full and pretty busy, especially with the number of photos that I've put on this layout. Because I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 photos on this layout. So this is a pretty full layout already with pictures alone. And so I have pulled out some of the stickers. There's a great collection of stickers in the Grateful Harvest, and I've already used some of them. There's some borders. We've got lots of different fall words, a lot of pie and different embellishments like this wheelbarrow and some leaves. And like I said, I've used some of them already in a different project. So it's definitely a fun fall collection. I wanted to point out, like on the paper in this collection, this isn't a full pack because I've used it, but there's this really pretty gold leaf paper, and then the back has a really fun paper that is like all things pumpkin spice and fall. So that's super fun. There's this wheat paper, which is what I used on my layout. And the back is this really pretty, I love the blue background, and it's all about pies. So if you are a big pie person at Thanksgiving time, this would be a really cute paper to use for all your pies. And I love that it pulled in that kind of blue color, which is not traditionally what you see in fall, but I like that pop of little blue. This is a pie, like looks like the top of a pie, and then on the back you've got this pumpkin paper with a wash, and then it has a little bit of polka dots. This one I love. I love this piece of paper with all the speckles of different fall colors, and then on the back you've got this fun fall leaf striped. So of these two, I definitely really like this pattern paper, and I would use that for sure. We've already looked at that one. And then this one's a great one too. You've got kind of small fall leaves with that pretty green and a lot of the speckled wash in the back. And then it has this really cool paper, which I love, that you could definitely have used instead of the wheat on here if you wanted, which I just love this piece. It gives me a nice complementary neutral. And then, yeah, we've got this big piece of fall, the big fall leaves, which I love all the colors in here. And this is something that, like, I would want like this with it, or like the wheat one that I used. Like I love this where it has a lighter base, to use this brown with it. That could be super cute. I definitely love, like I said, this pie piece. And on this one, I think you could really put that orange polka dot with that. And look how that just is super fun on there. So this is just a fun collection of paper. And then there's also a coordinating pack that is your tone on tone, that has all these fun plaids. And then these borders are so pretty. I'm excited to use those for sure. And then there's also a set of map pack cards that have some fun words on them and things like that. So really a pretty collection if you haven't already picked it up. So, all right, let's get back to embellishing our layout. Like I said, because I have this really busy large leaf pattern across the top and bottom, and I have so many photos, I don't want to add too much to my layout embellishment wise, or it's going to get too busy. Now I did already print out my journaling, and I just did that and printed it on my printer with my daughter that talks about their date. And then I did add this cute little pumpkin sticker onto that journaling, which I thought was super cute. So I did pull a couple of stickers out from the sticker pack, And there were these two different wreaths that I thought would be super fun to kind of layer up to make it a little bit larger of an embellishment. And I wanted to use that as my title. And so I think I actually am going to put it over here on the left page. But I want to be careful, like, not to cover up too much of this photo because I've got, like, they're tossing their hats up in the air. So, like, I mean, I think it could be cute up here, but then it covers up 3 of the hats. And so that didn't work very well. So I decided, where I had some more space on the 4x6 photo that I didn't care if I covered up, that it actually would work to put that right about there in as kind of my title piece. Now I want to draw my attention across the layout, and so there was this little bundle of wheat, which kind of reminded me of what was going on here in this autumn life, and I thought that that would be kind of a cute embellishment cluster to create down in this corner. And I kind of wanted, like, I know I've got this here, and I thought where this was kind of so big, I wanted something else on this layout. And like I said, I didn't necessarily want it in line with that embellishment. So I think the best place to add this, and these are some things I pulled from my stash, because you know, stash busting it's all about it. I love stash busting. So I had this wood leaf, which I thought was super cute. And then there were a couple of these, like, stickers that are different leaves. And I thought that that would be kind of fun to make kind of a little cluster back here, with these leaves kind of layered behind this larger wood leaf. And where I had added this little bit of wood here, I wanted to repeat that on the layout somewhere else. And so I had these, like, little arrows. This is another item that was just in my stash. And I thought that they would be kind of fun, maybe down here, to add to this cluster, and also kind of on my journaling to kind of draw a little attention there. And then I remembered that I had these super fun sequins that are like leaves and orange sequins and stuff like that. So I thought that those leaves would be super fun to add a little bit of sparkle to my layout. So I definitely kind of want one down here in this cluster. And then kind of thinking of scattering these, like, kind of up, maybe a little bit around this cluster. And, you know, and I might want to add, I don't know, maybe some of these sequins. I thought they were cute too. So I'm going to dump a little bit of these in this little dish so I can kind of spread them out here. It doesn't look like the orange ones have a lot of, they're the more of the larger sequence. So and this will kind of just add to that fill of maybe kind of something. I don't know that I like that there. Like, I don't want them so lined up. I almost want this to be almost down further in here, which then I don't know if it, like, I like that on the photos actually. So You know what I want to do is let's leave these up here, but let's make it feel more like this cluster is this whole element on here. So what if we bring kind of some sequence down into this cluster, so then it makes this feel like one large cluster. And then I'm going to want to add a few more sequins over here, I think. See. Sorry, I'm kind of just playing around. I'm thinking in like triangles and things like that. Maybe don't want that leaf down here actually. So I think I kind of like that better. Maybe I do want it. I do want to kind of be repeating that element there. Maybe I'll just bring that sequence down. That's cute. Okay, let's just, I think, just add the last couple sequence onto our cluster up here. Maybe just those two there. Okay, I think that that looks good. Let's go ahead and glue these elements down and then kind of just take that last look at it and see if there's anything else that I want to add. So we're going to go ahead and attach this. Now this one I'm popping up the Fabulous Fall. And then I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue to add these little sticky parts. Okay. So I'm just going to lift them up, add a little bit of glue, stick them back down. I think I want my tweezers now for these. Sequins are super fun. They're very inexpensive. You always get kind of a lot of bang for your buck on these, and it adds just a little bit of sparkle to the layout, which is way fun to do. All right, let's kind of stick some glue on the back here. Now, some people don't like wood embellishments because they do tend to be a little thicker. So they definitely are going to add a little bit of bulk. And that's okay if you don't like that bulk. You can definitely don't have to use them. Right. One thing with sequins, sometimes I like to tuck them a little bit under, like I did up here, and it actually kind of adjusts the size of that sequence to make it look a little smaller. Now I was torn because normally I would put the smaller sequence up top, but I had more space. I think that's going to actually be okay. So I was worried that it wouldn't fit, but I think it does. I have really enjoyed being the photographer for my kids' school dances. It was easy with my son because they were always like, yeah, have your mom take our pictures. We love her work. But then with my daughter, especially more of the formal dances were guys' choice. And so I wasn't necessarily asked by the group to be their photographer. And I had to be super like proactive. And when she would get asked to a dance, if it was a girl's choice dance, then of course, like I could be the photographer for that. But if it was a guy's choice, I had to be more proactive and like tell my girls, hey, offer my services. I'm happy to take the pictures. And originally I was like, oh, it's fine, except that I would sit here, buy these beautiful dresses for my girls, be very excited about the photos, and then I know this sounds awful, but sometimes the pictures I would get back, they would get back, I was not happy with. And I had to kind of, like my son's friends would always kind of tip me to take their pictures. Like they'd give me like $20, right? Like for taking their pictures and stuff like that. And that was very kind of them. But I would have to, like with the girls, oh, why did that one what happened there? We had a little rogue sequence here. Anyway, so when I would, with the kids, like the girls, I told them, I'm like, look, I am fine to take them for free. Like, if you want to tip me, like the guys in my son's group would always just pay me $20 per couple to do their pictures. And with my daughters, I would be like, hey, offer my services. I'll do it for free. If they ask how much, just say if they would like to tip me $20, that's great, but I just want to take the pictures. So, okay, I think this is turning out really cute. I have this spool of brown twine I'm using for a different workshop for my crop actually coming up in a couple weeks. And I thought that would be cute on here. So I've made a couple of like a little bow, and I had this little bow here, and I was like, oh, maybe that would be cute on this little wreath to kind of finish it off and add a little more attention to our title. Anyways, so yes, basically when my girls get asked to a dance, I volunteer my services and say, hey, I'd be happy to take your pictures. And that way I guarantee that I get the pictures that I want, like good pictures. I want to add a little bit more twine to this. Like you said, the repeating of, so I don't want another bow, so I'm just going to do like a little knot here. Trimming this off just a little bit. And kind of fraying it out like that. And then I think I'm going to stick it right here on this little cluster like that. So it doesn't really work. There's already kind of a strand tied there. I don't see really any other places. So even though I know I normally repeat on across the layout, I don't know that there's another really place that I want to add more twine. So, all right, I think that that is going to do it. I think that that turned out super cute. Like I said, there wasn't a ton of embellishing, but that's because it already was a pretty full layout. And I really like how it turned out. I like the sparkle that the sequins add. I feel like it helps flow across the layout, directs your eye, and I was able to get lots of pictures on it, and which was good because I had a lot of pictures. Have my journaling done, and there you go. That's it. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And when you're done watching this video, there'll be a link in the description over to Kimberly's layout, her process video on making the same layout using the same project recipe, but her different take on it. It'll be fun to see, especially where I went really rogue on this one and really switched it up. We'll see what she does with it and how hers turns out, and if she also went rogue or if she stuck more closer to the sketch on this. I hope that this is really helpful for you. I mean, that's our goal, is that you can look at a sketch and be like, how can I like this sketch, but how can I change it or adjust it to work with my photos? And I was able to do that on this layout. So, all right, that's it for me tonight or today, and happy scrapbooking, and I will see you next month.